What the heck, bro? That's one of the biggest avalanches I've ever seen in real life. It's gonna pummel us. Oh my gosh. What? Dude, I hope nobody's down on Blue Hill.
Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial. In this case, we will be learning how to do a great simulation with the new MPM solver. This video comes in with great value, so hop in and watch the full tutorial. Guys, do you want to join a really nice server? We have tons of different channels. We have effects, modeling, loop dev, compositing. We will have resources for every type of discipline. I also have a Patreon page where you can support me. I have every single file, I have polls, I have even some tools, guidance. So if you are interested, you may have a look. Thank you. So here we are on the setup where I chose to basically have a 3 kilometers long grid, and I painted a circle in the middle with a Heightfield invert and some blur on top of it, and then a shrink. I will be able to control a noise which is only being affected by that mask. If I remap it, I can then bring the whole, which was beneath -1 to just 0, and then by mask by feature on height, I could then blur it a little bit, and yeah, just blur our height fill. Then we can clear it and visualize a distort, which is quite nice. I'm distorting everything, and then I'm using that distortion to being affected by a noise, which is only being affected by this mask. And then we are going to do a mask by feature to have some mask where I can place the snow. These are some of the settings based on the slope, the height, and also the occlusion. So we're going to have these concavities roughly where we want everything. After we convert this to some polygons, we will see that the polygon, the density vertically is very stretched. So after transforming it, which I'm going to explain this later on, and also I should have placed the remesh before, but who cares? I am going to just remesh everything so the polygon density is a little bit better. So after this remesh, so after we have this, you will see everything is more nice, everything is more organized and stable and constant in polygon wise. So we can smooth it out a little bit with the position. And after blurring this position, we can do a triplanar displays from labs. Remember guys, this is from labs. You can see that this is a little bit different. You can access this on my Patreon. I added this remap displacement where I can remap the texture to the values I want. Since I'm using a Megascans texture, we should go from 0 to 1. I would like the output to be from -0.5 to 0.5. That's the reason. So you can have access to it after watching this video. And then using the inverse transformation, as you can see, because I cannot control right here the frequency. I can do a projection offset, but not the frequency on the y-axis. So what I decided to do is to just increase it here and then do the opposite operation over here with the inverse transformation. And this is the mountain we have. I also decided to save it because this process is too long for my liking. And I used the heap cache folder, which, remember guys, it is better just to use a $job instead. You need to go file, set the project to the folder you're saving your material. So let's dive a little bit into Copernicus. You will see this is a little bit strange because, for example, in this case, I have this Heightfield mask by feature, and I turn this into a height multiplied by 100. This is not necessary. It could be just 1. But I wanted to visualize also in subs. This is the way I solved or work around the issue. I didn't know how to bake other attributes other than the height. So I turned the height into, for example, a mask. As you can see, remember this is the concavities. The same thing happened. I don't need much resolution. Oh yeah, I increased the resolution right here. And I did this for the height. This is as usual. I'm a mask by feature. And I say this to be the occlusion map. Same deal. And the same thing for well, another type of mask which I use here. So if we dive in and we drag everything, for example, this one, this is the height. What we can do is, for example, get to layer, and this will get our mask right here, and we can remap it with the values which are, well, it's the height, and we can distort it. So in this case, I decided to do the same. I did a fractal noise, which I think is the same. Yeah, this part is wrong. Don't worry. Yeah, but this was used to get the slope direction of a noise, but you can use it for the mountain direction, as you can see. And then with this, you can distort a noise. You will see this is a little bit distorted with a noise, which is a way to get a little bit more detail than usual. And I'm blurring it a little bit, and this is my height. I did the same for the slope, which is just getting the slope and the occlusion. The same thing is happening on each of these cases, which then will be brought to Solaris. So this is the Copernicus set. This is the way to do it. Also, you could probably do a bake, a raw image output, and you could select these images after turning them to mono to RGB. When it's on mono to RGB, something like this, and then you could drag this one over here and bake it, the C, which is the beauty of the RGB, to this section doing render to this. That's the way to bake textures out. So after we have the mountain, we need to prepare some sources. So this is the mountain high, which is very nice, but we don't need this for the collider. So I remesh it, I blur it, and I add the normal. The result looks something like this, which is the same mountain, but with way less polygons. Here is the mountain high, so I decide to paint something on top of the mountain. So it looks something like this, where I decided to paint some things out. Let's see if I can visualize you. So this is the mask, and with the paint, if I'm not mistaken, well, I must have done something. But I'm pretty sure what I did is, multiply to 0. I basically deleted some sections like that. This is where all the snow will be layered on top. I also added a P scale based on the mask. So basically, where we have more mask, we have more P scale, and so on and so forth. And we decided to scatter some things based on the mask 3 times to cover some holes here and there. And then BDB from particles, this will create the BDB, which we are going to be using. Sorry for the lag on the video, but this is what we are going to be using for the source. As you can see, it is very nice. And I recommend you to visualize this with your mountain to see if it makes sense scale wise that this is so high. This is roughly 2 meters 2 meters tall, something like that, which I think it's okay. So let's continue. I added a little bit of noise. Here, which is basically a turbulence noise with this frequency added to the position sample to the surface, like so. This is what you need to do, and then output the surface. Over here, I got the high, and I extrude the volume and transform this to get the like a collider. This is meant to be a way to cut everything that's inside the mountain, just in case. So we get this mountain, and then we BDB combine it, and we just do a SDF difference. As you can see, everything on the inside is cut out. Finally, we got some masks. So these masks, as you can see, looks something like this. Mask 2, mask 3, which will be helping us to get something like, for example, let's see, the first mask. This is the first one. So I basically just painted out everything on the outside, but we can also get, as you can see, the mask 2. This is where we are going to get, if I'm not mistaken, some extra colliders to stick it to the surface. And the mask 3. Oh no, these are the colliders at the ground. This is where we will have something to stop. And the mask 2, if I'm not mistaken, is where the simulation will run. So we're going to get some points from here. So this is the sourcing section. When you go on to the MPM section, we got the source, which is this one. And we're going to be turning this into an MPM source. You can see this was quite fast. We got roughly, okay, I cannot see how many points we have, but we have a lot of points. Strange, but I think it's around 6 to 8 million, something like that. So we got this no preset. We didn't change anything. We just changed the point separation. And this is the NPM container I'm using, which is basically this. And this is the point particle separation I'm deciding to use here. So on the masks, this is what we were getting. Also, we decided to have a float value called active is equals to the first mask, which is the one which was left. And everything which is below 0.1 is going to be removed. And we're going to be transferring this to our points, which in this case is 0. Oh, it's 0 because we are not on the first frame. That's why. Yeah, this is something they need to change because, or at least I haven't figured out. There's no way for me to actually cache a singular frame of this and keep it in time. It like bugs out. So this is the points. Oh, it's 23 million. So it's pretty much a lot more. So yeah, this is going to create some really nice details. We're going to be transferring the mask, which we can see if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we transfer the points we want this to be active. We are going to call, hey, active is equal to the mask. If mask is less than 0.1, the group active is going to be 1. So we're going to split this. First on the source, which we're going to cluster this. I don't know if this is necessary, but it is worth learning. So if we were to see this, these are our clusters. Hold on a second. There we go. Well, so we could cluster the simulation into segments. This could make the simulation faster. And then we added a little bit of noise to the mask, the multiplication. That way I can control here the E. The E is like the stiffness of the simulation. The less we have, the more, the less we have, the less stick together is going to be. So these are going to be like very large blocks, and these are just going to be behaving as snow. So as you can see, I multiply these by the mask, and if the mask is 1, which is the red, we're going to be multiplied by 1000. And as you can see, I didn't source this because it just broke. Here, with a simple time shift, to keep everything in place, to avoid having this, which I don't know why here we need it, but right here we don't. We are getting this null. We're going to turn everything into BD from particles, and we are going to be combining it with the mountain we created before. This is going to be our collider right here. We're going to be converting this back again, the polygons, and with a big MPM collider, we're going to be turning everything into a collider. The masks are going to be used here, and we're going to be scattering onto the mask 2. We're going to be creating BDB from particles, and we're going to be using this just to have more friction sticky. This will make everything start rolling when they get stick to the walls. And finally, on the masks, we're going to be scattering on the mask 3. And we're going to be creating exactly the same, but for the ground right here. All of those are going to be the colliders. Same, I didn't cache it. And this is going to be the container. All of these things together are going to have our simulation. So I'm going to just ignore this right now. It doesn't seem. We're going to be outputting the color, the UV, the name, and the cluster. Just in case, because we might need this in the future. The visualization, I decided to visualize the E. We're going to be using, let's see. Yeah, we're going to be using the E to create the source of the smoke simulation later on. On the advanced, I didn't change anything, and just this to visualize. And on the solver, I didn't change anything. This is all default. That's the beauty of this setup. I deleted everything but these attributes, the clusters I did, the P scale, the B, the P, and the JP. The JP is very important here. If we go into advanced and the output on the JP, we will see that this is like the compression as an attribute. Basically, when you compress, you get a value. when you uncompress, you get another value. And with these values going more compressed or less compressed, we're going to be deciding when we want to have our source being active or not in the smoke simulation. So this is our simulation. We can use the chopper. This is what we have. Very nice. And I believe we could potentially visualize the JP. Yeah, just so you can see. So everything at the very beginning is red. And when we move forwards, you will see that we are getting some blue segments, which means we can decide what we want and when we want to activate this. Let's see if I can change this. Yeah, see, the red parts are the more uncompressed, if I'm not mistaken. You can see. Yeah, so we can use this to our liking. And that's the NPM section. Finally, I have a tool, which I'm going to explain just in a moment how it works, which is called the sub wedging tool. The way this tool works is that it creates bounding boxes. You can generate static work items, and you can see each of the different sections we want to cluster based on, in this case, a grid, which can work on 2D. It could also be 3D, and we can generate working items. I guess this tool is old. Yeah, this is an old version, but I have a new version which actually works on 3D. So we could use a sub wedging tool over here, connected. It's going to create the exact same setup, but now we will have the possibility to add 3D into our divider. So if we add 3D, boom, now we have 3 types of different clusters where we can generate the working items. And on the visualizer, we can expand to see what is going on each of these clusters. So we can divide the simulation into smaller pieces. So how can we make something like this work, which is extremely nice? I would suggest you to get it on the Patreon. Well, we have this set up over here. And let's say I want a grid to be match sized to, for example, a frame. And let's use this frame as a starting point. Right here, we could, for example, get this one over there and call this to be on the minimum. So if we poly extrude everything, let's say we use 2 and 2, and we extrude everything, let's say to the maximum, something like this. And before this, we facet to make unique points here. You will see that we will get, sorry, this should be 3 and 3. You will see that we will get each of these bounding boxes. If we add a connectivity, we could then visualize this based on connectivity on the class. And let's say we can do a file cache, a labs file cache, sorry, wedging, and use a new value, which is going to be called wedge. And this is going to be automatic, but this wedge is going to be based on the wedge count, which the wedge count is going to be also based on the maximum amount of value here. So we could promote these two primitives, sorry, to detail. This is going to be class, and this is going to be maximum. So Control C, and we're going to say, hey, detail of this node, and I would like to have the class 0, and we will get 3, but this should be +1. So if we do a blast over here, I will say, hey, I want the class which is equals to, and the wedge, this one over here, we can see that we will be deleting this one. And from here onwards, we could, for example, group anything by this bounding box and start doing simulations. For example, let's say we have a DOP network over here, whatever, and we have a box which is going to be, or a boolean, which is going to be blasted, which is going to be blasted by the wedge in question. And that's basically how it's working. Of course, the tool which I created is much more complex. It has many more variants, but that's basically it. And to continue, once we have this wedging tool, we can use a rest to get the rest position of the first frame. For example, on the first wedge, which is this one. And I decided to use this in a way to create a mask velocity. So basically I'm fitting the length of the velocity based from 0 to a maximum velocity I'm desiring. So in this case it's 90, going to 0 to 1. So let's see if I can visualize the mask velocity. So the mask velocity, this is how it looks. The faster it's going, the red is going to be, and we can change how it looks over here. The same is going to be for mask comp over here, right here. And the mask comp is going to be used for some parts, like for example, when they collide or get compressed. The mask comp is going to be based on the length of the velocity again, from 0 to compression mask, belt compression mask, from 0 to 1. The compression mask is right here, 1. And then the distance from the points to the rest position from 175 to 200. Basically, this means that we cannot get any mask whatsoever unless these points are like 200 points away. I don't think this is the best wedge to visualize. Perhaps this one is way better. As you can see, some of these points will get activated upon changing time and changing the compression. So we're going to be having like very the big rocks are going to be there on the simulation. And then I'm multiplying the density based on the velocity mask with the mask. This means that the density on the edges, because this wedge creates a mask based on the edges, is going to be used to multiplicate, and the divergence is going to be based on the mask comp. So the divergence is a way to expand the smoke in the simulation. We're going to be rasterizing this. This is only for the source, guys. Remember the density, the velocity, and the divergence. We're going to be using this voxel radius. See if I can visualize something better over here. So this is where smoke is going to be emitting from. We're going to post-process this to convert the VDV and resample the velocity. And we are going to be wedging this based on our sub wedging tool, which has a very nice option, which is to do with some Python, a fully configured node. So keep in mind, this is a very cool tool. Then everything is set up here. So if we go into generate static, you can visualize all of our sources properly displayed where they need to be, as you can see. And over here, we are going to be setting this density to 1. So this is the density which is equal to 1. Everything is going to be density equal to 1. And we are going to be using this for the rendering. This is going to be like our debris or our snow parts. This is going to be fully rendered inside Solaris. We are going to be saving this into a wedge. And this is how it looks in very low res, 200 visualize resolution. This is just a way to visualize on subs. After this, we're going to be grabbing our collider, which we made from MPM. So we got this one. And then since we don't have actually a name, it's called surface, I decided to change the surface to collision, which is the nomenclature our Pyro Solver works with. Over here, we decided to use a voxel size of 1.12. Remember, this is meters, so it's 1 meter per voxel. And this mountain is roughly 13 kilometers tall. So yeah, the resolution is going to be a little bit big. But remember, we're going to be working per wedge. So we're going to have 4 simulations. On sourcing, we didn't do anything, pretty much. On fields, just a little bit of dissipation. On advanced, this is key. And output, we decide to use these settings. Inside is where the magic happens, where I'm getting a disturbance based on speed to 1000 with a rotational force and block size of 30. Remember, guys, this simulation is very big, so 30 is not that much. It's actually very small. Then the same thing. Look at how I use our masks. I don't want to have more velocity after a certain extent. Otherwise, I would be breaking my simulation a lot. And I will always like to have a little bit of noise here and there. This is 25, so it's pretty much default. And the last one is 8, so it's just 8 times bigger than the division size. And vortex confinement set to 5. That's it, nothing else. On our Wedge Pyro scene, we will be able to visualize our simulations. This is how they look. Very interesting. And well, everything combined will be our volume part of the render. So moving on to the Solaris section, let's just change this to auto update. This is what I usually try to do: create the base setup for the scene. I usually like to set it up a foreground, midground, background, geo, ball, all like this, so we can have all these folders where we're going to be putting our geometry. Then we're going to be bringing the mountain. As you can see, this is the mountain. It's just loading out the out mountain low. And it's going to go inside scene, inside background, inside geo, the name of the node and the name of the node. So it's something like this: geo, this is the asset, and this is the geometry of the asset. Of course, I'm going to just save this after the fact on an USD name after $job. So we could just delete this and it's still going to be the same. And I'm going to add a layer break. Layer breaks are meant to work like, hey, give me the geometry, we can do whatever we want, but after another file cache, we're not going to be saving this. So what I do here is to just prepare the material. So let's go inside the material over here to the rock. The material might look a little bit complex, but it is in fact super simple. I'm going to disable for the time being the displacement, so it loads a little bit faster. And I'm going to visualize with CPU. I could use GPU, but it's easier for me right now with CPU. So let's just turn this to black. Let's go from left to right. So to begin with, I decided to use a tree planner. This is for the rock, as you can see. It's just a hex tree planner of a texture, of a rock texture, to 44 scale. I didn't do anything. This is exactly the same. It's just so it doesn't have alpha. I don't know why this does. Well, I don't know why these are 4 vector. I would like this to be a 3 vector. But anyways, I need to transform this to a color space from utility linear sRGB to ACCG because that's what I'm using. And I added a color correction. So with a simple noise like this one, I can mix between both shaders. That's how it is. And then I could do the same thing with an adding a color, mixing with another noise. We're multiplying 2 types of noises. You can see, we're going to see how it looks. So on the diffuse, we should start seeing, yeah, we can see that we have these lines, these stripes, which are very cool. Moving forwards, we did the same thing, but with another color, with green and with other type of stripes. And so just a little bit more color variation. We're going to be doing something different for the snow. I believe this is the snow. It's just a constant white color with a color correction and a noise. The noise basically blends between both type of colors, which are pretty much this. If we merge both of these 2 things together, we are getting this. But how are the masks done? Well, they are done by this. To begin with, we are going to get the UV and we are going to get a noise. The noise is going to be multiplied. It's going to be then multiplied again. So we have a little bit of noise. And then we're going to be combining this to create UVs. So we are going to be adding this to the actual UVs. These are the UVs. So if we add this, we can offset this a little bit in order for the image right here to have a little bit of distortion, a little bit of as you can see, noise, which is what we want. The same thing is going to happen for this one. These are, if you remember from cops, you have to do up 2 points and go to the node, which is height. This is slope, this is occlusion, and these are just, so as you can see, this is one. If I remove this one, it's going to keep some of the texture, all right. And then we are just remapping to what we want. As you can see, I could do this, and I can remap it. This is a way to use masks. This is another mask, which I'm of course remapping, and this is another one. And if I blend this with a min, what I get is this empty space, and I can add another min. I can start subtracting even more. In this case, I'm subtracting the ground. I'm keeping everything white, but I'm subtracting the ground. And if I invert this, I have the opposite. And if I have this noise, this is just a noise. You'll see over here. I inverted the noise, and then I multiply it with what we have before. So we have something like this, and this is another noise. But instead of the invert, yeah, we are getting these two noises. So we're going to be multiplying this with the other one. So I only want noise at the bottom. I'm multiplying both guys together. It's a noise on top of another noise. And then with a max, so we had this. And if I add this with a max, the max is going to look something like this. So we have both noises layered on top of each other and no clamping whatsoever, because this is just a max fine. So if we were to see everything with all the masks, this is how it would be look. So the same thing goes for the displacements. Let's see if I can show you. As you can see, we have displacement. For example, this is a rock displacement. This is another rock displacement. And what I usually tend to do is to just first separate the vector to make it like a float, remap it to have the contrast what I prefer this. I usually remap it to negative 0.5 to 0.5, so the noise goes inwards and also upwards instead of just upwards. Then I have another noise which is doing exactly the same thing. The difference is that this is the size is 30 and this is 120, so I'm layering big noises with small noises. I'm mixing this with a half and half, and I'm also multiplying this with a function of 0.5 because I don't want to have so much noise of this, and I turn this into a displacement. The same thing happens with, the same thing will happen to this noise. This noise is even smaller, it's for ultra high detail. And the later one, I'm using a triplanar, multiplying the noise because that's the way I decided to do it here. This is a hex triplanar. I don't know why I did. Oh yeah, I did this to how like what's the name? Horizontal. As you can see, if you change this to 2, it's going to be changing. Change this to 4, it's going to be. I'm also remapping this to positive. And if I were to multiply this with a noise, you will see that I'm only getting on the top parts of the mountain. Yeah, we have all these displacements, the A, B, and C, where I'm controlling the scales differently. And then I'm mixing all of them together over here. So mixing everything together, we have this plus the displacement. I'm not going to get close because this task takes a little bit to load, so let's wait. Also, one thing to notice is that I use the same mask I use over here to create a ramp constant in order to create the roughness, the specular roughness. I didn't do anything else. And as you can see, this is how it looks with the displacement turned on. Very nice. So this is after, and I'm going to just disconnect it real quick so you can see better. After, before. So yeah, the changes each. Let's go back. Let's change this back to Vulkan. So this is where I'm going to be saving the material, mountain material at USD folder. As you can see, nothing else got saved, just the material because of this layer break. And if I sublayer these two guys together, they're going to get combined. I only have rocks, so I'm going to just delete this over here. Then we are going to be saving both things together. Mountain with material. Right? This is everything. This means basically that if I change this or I change this, this will automatically be changed because it's only saving the file path. Then I'm going to be loading the Avalanche. I'm going to go to a previous frame so it's easier for me to load. Let's go into all of these guys together. So this is what I have. Nice. It looks like crap here, but it's only the viewport. So this is the Avalanche. I'm going to see something here into background ball, background ball. Everything is going to be here. Avalanche source, and Avalanche source no sim. And the Avalanche source is going to have a differentiator where the density is set to 10 and the anisotropy is set to 0.87. Other than that, the Avalanche is the same, but with the noise, with the density set to way less. Same anisotropy, but way less density. Because this will allow me to, let's just don't use the mountain as for now. If we set render, you will see, let's go further. Well, I might need to have the mountain here. So bear with me. Let's just turn this on. So by adding Karma physical sky, I can see, let's go over here. I can see that the little chunks are way denser than the actual smoke being emitted. And the combination of both of these techniques, of both materials, is going to allow me to have a differentiation where I can see chunks being broken down and smoke following its path, same as the video in reference. After assigning these materials, I'm going to go into the mountain and add a dicing of 1 to have a dicing 1 polygon per pixel. I'm going to just go again to Vulkan. So basically I just added a camera physical light set to 4 without the render light geometry. It didn't change anything. I imported the cameras over here and saved them as a file sequence in USD. This is extremely important. You got to have this saved in order for if you ever need to have motion blur in the camera, have it saved. You need to do this. It's how I suggest you. I'm going to be merging both of these guys and rendering on one side the bot camera and on another side the low camera. All of XPU, I'm just changing the cameras and I'm adding more subsurface and more volume limit. I don't know why it's subsurface because I didn't end up using, but yeah, more volume limit. I'm adding motion blur because I want to have motion blur, no depth of field, and I'm saving the position, the camera wall space position, the depth, the normal, just in case. I didn't do anything. I didn't use anything, all of them. And same here, but that's pretty much it. And going back to the Nuke version, this is similar to the previous tutorial, but easier. So I have this HDRI, which I'm going to be transforming it, just to rotate it a little bit. Oh no, not to I'm not doing anything with this. Okay, I'm going to be setting this into a sphere, and then I'm going to be transforming the geo based on the camera. So if I were to see this, see I'm transforming this so I can match a little bit the god rays with the mountain itself. This is the camera which I got, which is the camera from the first shot, and I'm adding a color correction over here. Have in mind that this is set to utility linear sRGB because it's a raw image, and this scene is set to the color ACES, OSHA. I'm using my own, OSHA config version 1.0. I'm using an environment variable. Okay, so then I'm getting a constant with the resolution I want, which is HD. I'm merging these two guys together. This is just so I can have the base set up here. Then I'm merging the mountain. The mountain is done via having, well, nothing here. This is the mountain. I'm shuffling the alpha and I'm inverting it. And here I'm also inverting it and adding back to the image, which is basically this render. So if I copy and then permute, I will have this stenciled out, and if I blur it and I then add it with a stencil and a color correction, I can have like some sort of spill color over here. That's how I did. I didn't want to do anything else. Then I added a color correction with some values on the shadows and on the master change, not much. And here a little bit more of gain and less saturation and midtones. I'm going to be transforming the red. Yeah, the red channel is going to be changed here, as you can see. And I'm going to add a distortion with a grade using a radial. Oh, this grade is wrong. Okay, because it was using another resolution. Then I added some noise. And in fact, because I'm here, I'm going to be changing this. So I fixed this. It was using another resolution from another project. Now it's better, you can see. And I added a little bit of noise over here. And the output has to be on Rec 709. Nothing else for Res 422 HQ, 10 bits. And this should be fine. I hope that you guys like the video. If you have any requests, leave it a like, leave a comment, and I will be there for you guys. See ya.
What the heck, bro? That's one of the biggest avalanches I've ever seen in real life. It's gonna pummel us. Oh my gosh. What? Dude, I hope nobody's down on Blue Hill.